Welcome to Self-Trust, the first intimacy with God and the foundation of every healthy relationship. Thank you for being here. Let's jump right in. Let yourself be grounded or rest into the surface beneath you and just breathe in. If you feel comfortable, place your hand over your heart. Beloved, let us begin by coming home to ourselves. Close your eyes if you wish. Soften your shoulders and take a slow, deep breath in and let it go. We gather here not to perform, not to prove, but to remember. We are remembering the first intimacy. Trust in God, trust in love, in our own beingness. Survival taught us to be on guard, to brace, to carry what was too heavy. Tonight, you are invited to lay the burden down. Breathe again and feel the ground beneath you. You are held, you are safe, you are not alone. Spirit, we welcome your nearness. Let this be a sanctuary of trust restored, a place where fear loosens, where love is remembered, and every soul present can rest in the truth. Trust is not built, it is remembered. And tonight, we return. Let's begin with the 3 levels of trust. Self-trust is, I will not abandon myself again. It's listening to your body's yes and no, honoring your voice, your needs, and your boundaries. Without self-trust, every other trust feels shaky. God trust, which is the first intimacy, is the knowing that you're already held. Resting in spirit as your ground, not in survival. Trusting not in blind faith, but the felt nearness, the closeness, the knowing that God is in me, not separate from me. Trust, self-trust feels fragile because you unconsciously believe that you are on your own. Without God trust, self-trust can feel fragile because you unconsciously believe that you are on your own. This is important for me, for all of you, for human beings in general, to assess, are we alone? Are we supported? Are we guided? Are we the essence of love? Because the truth is yes and yes. But oftentimes, because of trauma, because of being betrayed by the other human beings, we lock ourselves down, and which I'll talk about today. We're in survival mode and we can't feel that love that is always present. Relational trust is the embodiment as love is sanctuary, not survival. It allows us to open wisely to others with discernment, with care, with self-trust, not blind loyalty, not people pleasing, not being a doormat, not functioning, but allowing intimacy to be reciprocal, safe, and nourishing. How do you define trust? What is trust? Somebody can put it in the chat. What is trust? If you like to unmute, you can do that too. Do you have any ideas? How do you define trust? How does psychology define trust? Trust is often defined as the expectation of reliability. Put reliable in the chat if you want people in your life that are reliable. Is it important? Is it an expectation? Is it a need? The expectation of reliability is believing that another person's words, actions, or intentions will be consistent, dependable, and predictable. Does this make sense? So it is believing that other people's words, actions, and intentions will be consistent, dependable, and predictable. Now, I'm not talking about giving people the benefit of the doubt. I don't mean projecting or seeing the good in another person while ignoring disrespect, boundary violations, or red flags. Having the fundamental belief that you can believe another person's words, actions, and intentions, and that relationships are safe. It doesn't mean that we don't hold boundaries or communicate boundaries. It means you recognize that we'll be human and things will happen, but you have the capacity to believe that people are dependable and predictable and consistent. Now, if someone shows you otherwise, you believe what people show you. When they show you who they are, you believe them the first time. And then there's the willingness to be vulnerable. Trust means risking openness, allowing another to see your needs, your feelings, your limitations, believing that they will not exploit or harm you. So that means we're not going into relationships already bracing and preparing for betrayal or abandonment or disrespect. Trust exists when you expect the other person to respond to your needs with care, not indifference or harm. When you expect it, then you have standards, you have values, you have boundaries. See, the expectation and the reliability, that's baseline healthy relationships, baseline a skill of love. When someone doesn't have the capacity to create safety in a relationship, you can choose how to be in relationship with them. Trust is recognizing that you have the capacity to rely on others, to be vulnerable, to experience safety in relationships, and an internal regulation process. Trust is tied to attachment. When caregivers consistently meet needs, the nervous system learns. When they don't, distrust and hypervigilance form. So, trust is an internal regulation tied to attachment. When caregivers are inconsistent, then we learn distrust and hypervigilance. We always on the lookout, the head always on the swivel. We believe that we don't have to get ready because we stay ready. See, in attachment psychology, secure trust equals I can depend on you and you can depend on me. Insecure trust equals I must manage everything myself or I'll be hurt or abandoned. Do you have secure trust or insecure trust? Or it depends. Psychology sees trust as a belief in dependability, a willingness to risk vulnerability, and the felt sense of safety that arises from consistency, attunement, and care. And let's breathe. Can you see how, if you trust that people are generally reliable and that it's safe to be vulnerable and that relationships are safe and you have an internal regulation process where your body feels safe in love, you honor your yes and your no, you respect your own boundaries. Can you see how that trust extends in every area of your life? Trust is a quiet knowing. It's the breath your body takes in when it no longer has to scan the room. It's the softness that comes when you believe if I reach out, someone will meet me. Psychology calls it dependability, consistency, and predictability. These are basic human needs to create secure attachment, the capacity to have secure attachment in relationships, not perfect, but secure. Psychology calls it attachment, but you know it as presence. It's the steady hand that doesn't disappear, the voice that doesn't twist when you speak your truth, the love that doesn't punish you for needing. Trust is the permission to be vulnerable, to put down the armor without fear of attack. It is not a gamble. It is the felt sense of safety that settles when your nervous system whispers, I can rest, I can breathe, I can be. And here is a whisper from the field. Trust is not only a concept, it is the air intimacy breathes. Without it, love suffocates. With it, love blooms. So, how is trust broken? Trust is felt as presence. You're here. You're with me. You're holding space with me. Because we know when we're with someone and they're distracted. You can feel it when they're not present, when they're not really giving you the attention you deserve or desire. What we're going to do, and this is my first time implementing this, so thank you for your patience. I want to make the breathing not just something we do offhand. It should be integral, not just to class, but to life. For 90 seconds, I'm going to set the timer and actually do this because it's for you. Place your hand on your heart and inhale, whisper to yourself, or just think it. I hear my yes and my no. And on the exhale, I trust myself. When you inhale, I hear my yes and my no. And exhale, I trust myself. Just continue to breathe for the next 90 seconds. Make sure you're breathing in through the nose and exhale through your mouth. And inhale, I hear my yes and my no. And exhale, I trust myself. When you're breathing, you can't be in the past or the future. You're present, you're more grounded, you're more centered. And that is the power of your breath. So, how is trust broken? The rupture of trust is not one moment, it is the slow breaking of safety. It happens when the hand that was supposed to hold you sometimes comforted and sometimes struck. When words said you are loved, but action said you're too much, you're not enough, and you're only lovable when you perform, when you're doing what I want you to do, when you're being who I want you to be. when you sacrifice in the way I want you to sacrifice. It's also when God was preached as merciful but lived as punishing. Rupture is not just betrayal, it is the inconsistency that makes love feel dangerous. See, I just talked about predictability and dependability, and you can see how inconsistency makes love feel dangerous. So, what is safety? Because if trust is ruptured with the slow breaking of safety, then let's explore the truth about safety and how it's connected to our capacity to give and receive. Safety. Psychology says it is the absence of threat. Your nervous system knows it doesn't have to fight, flee, or freeze. Those are stress responses, trauma responses. But still deeper, safety is not the absence of danger. It is the presence of protection, attunement, and care. And what's that Malcolm X saying that we say all the time, or we hear it all the time? Black women are the least protected and the most disrespected. That's why we're sometimes called masculine. Most of us have had to protect ourselves. We didn't receive adequate protection, attunement, and care. Many of us don't know a felt embodied experience of safety. Safety is when your body doesn't have to be on guard. It's when your voice doesn't have to shrink. It's when your needs don't feel like a burden. It's when your heart knows, I won't be punished for being myself. For the extraordinary superwoman, safety is what you were taught to live without. You learn to manufacture your own safety through control, achievement, caretaking, perfection. Many Black women are taught to live without it. You learn to manufacture your own safety through control, achievement, caretaking, and perfection because the people and systems around you were inconsistent, unpredictable, and unsafe. So your body learned survival as a substitute for safety. But safety is not control. Safety is surrender. Safety is that deep exhale that says, I am held. I don't have to carry it all alone. The truth is, safety is not a place outside of you. It is the presence within you that cannot, will not, does not abandon you. Safety is the home of trust. When you remember it, intimacy is no longer a risk, it is your resting place. In the field of infinite intelligence and unconditional love, safety is the presence within you that cannot abandon you because you cannot be separate from what you are. Safety is your resting place. Any thoughts or questions about that? Let's just breathe into that. Within you is the resting place that you've been looking for outside, expecting other people to give it to you, trying to groom and help and fix so that one day these same people can save you the way you save them. Safety is the home of trust. It is the presence within. You already have it. And you're learning to remember trust as the first intimacy. Safety and trust, they are not separable threads. They're the same fabric. Safety is the ground, your body, your nervous system, your soul knowing. And it says, I'm not in danger here. I'm guided. I'm loved. I'm held. Trust is the opening, the willingness to rest, to soften, to let yourself be seen because the ground beneath you feels steady. When you feel safe, trust flows naturally. But when safety is ruptured, trust contracts, it pulls back. And for us as Superwoman, this is the pattern. We all know well, do we not put walls up? Put walls in the chat. Superwoman, this is the pattern. You wanted to trust your parents, your partner, your community, your career. We'll be safe if we make enough money, if we're ambitious enough, if we get enough degrees. And we wanted to trust God. But when safety wasn't there, when love was unpredictable, when comfort turned into criticism, when care was conditional, trust was ruptured. So your body drew the conclusion, I cannot trust others to hold me. I must hold myself. Survival became your substitute for intimacy. You became strong, high functioning, always in control. Not because you never wanted to trust, but because trust without safety felt like self betrayal. Let's breathe into this because I imagine you probably never heard trust talked about in this way as it pertains to you specifically as a Black woman with your experiences in this life, in this skin. Survival became a substitute for intimacy. You became strong, high functioning, always in control. Does this resonate? Let me know in the chat. And not because you never wanted to trust, but because trust without safety felt like self betrayal. And here's what I want you to remember, a whisper from the field. Safety and trust bloom together. Without safety, trust closes like a fist. But when you begin to feel safe in your breath, in your body, in your God, trust remembers it can open again. That's poetry. And the truth is, trust is remembered because you do know how to trust. This is why our childhood trauma is so insidious. There was a rupture of trust when we were most vulnerable, when we needed predictability, consistency, and care to develop emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. When trust is ruptured, it doesn't just change one moment, it rewires your blueprint for all relationships. Now we're making the deeper connection to trust because on Thursdays, this entire experience is all about relationship skills. Love is not just a feeling. As when we are in relationship, we have to have the capacity to express and hold love. to protect love, whether that's boundaries, addressing conflict, communicating needs, or validating feelings. Those are all skills. When trust is ruptured with yourself, you stop trusting your own instincts. It's when your body says, this is not safe, but you stayed anyway. You learn to silence your inner voice. So, what happens? We second guess ourselves, we overthink, we abandon our needs before anyone else can. That's a rupture of trust. People pleasing, that's a rupture of self trust. When we're ignoring boundary violations, that's a rupture of self trust. When we minimize and act like something didn't happen, you only remember when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's because there was a rupture of self trust. Just breathe through that. And it's not because we're bad or we're broken or we deserve bad behavior or toxic or dysfunctional relationships. This is trauma. This is the loop of trauma because our love blueprint, and this is what we're breaking down, we have embodied the belief that love is conditional. So let's talk about trust with others. You stop trusting your own instincts. If someone stayed, no matter how they treated you, you might have thought it meant that you were chosen. And so you gave and performed to keep other people close, even if they couldn't or wouldn't truly see you. A rupture of trust can have us confusing loyalty with love. So people can be close in proximity, but that doesn't mean that they're actually present. This is not about judgment. This is about understanding the way trauma operates, the way trust or the lack of trust might be showing up in your relationships and your relationship with God. Because once you recognize the pattern, you have the power to make a different choice. Let's talk about the rupture with God. If those who were supposed to protect you betrayed you, a quiet suspicion can creep in. Maybe God will too. Maybe God does abandon. You prayed, but you didn't rest. You asked, but you still braced. You might be asking and praying, but then you go about doing all of the activities, trying to figure out, I know this very well, I might pray, but then because I've had a belief for so long that I'm on my own, that I got to take care of everything or die, I'm going to pray, but I would still go about trying to make it happen, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents, pushing myself past my breaking point because we're not allowed to have a breaking point to be worthy, to make things happen, to feel like I'm doing enough, feeling guilty when I rest, even though I believe I'm supposed to be able to rest in God. Do you see the paradox there? So you might believe in God's existence, but we doubted the closeness, the nearness of God. We have doubted that we are, let's just be honest. I certainly have doubted that God is within me. This is about trust and becoming aware of the parts or beliefs that have kept us from embodying trust, from living that trust, from being in relationship from a place of trust. This is the blueprint of rupture. This is what we live and believe and embody. Love equals conditional. Safety equals temporary. Trust equals dangerous. Does this make sense? The rupture of trust shows up in our life and relationships. Trust becomes dangerous because I can't be vulnerable. I can't let it happen. I'm alone. people are not dependable or reliable, and I project that onto God because it ain't safe out here in these streets. And according to my life history, everything is the streets. Yet beneath all of this, your soul remembers another truth. What is real, that love is constant, that safety is your birthright, and that trust is your beingness. You did not choose distrust because you lacked faith. Let me say this again, beloved, and not as a salutation, but as your true identity. Beloved, you did not choose distrust because you lacked faith. Distrust chose you. Your blueprint can be rewritten, not by proving, but by remembering that trust was never lost. Trust was always available to you. It's just waiting for you to get ready, for you to be open, for your nervous system to relax, for you to stop operating out of ego and allow yourself to be in the presence of your own presence. Are you with me? So, the rupture of trust, as I've talked about, trust is the expectations of safety. Because as a child, you naturally believe if I cry, someone will come. If I reach, someone will hold me. If I am myself, I will not be abandoned. Trust is the soul's first covenant that says, I am safe, I am held, I belong. The rupture of trust is when that covenant was broken, not by you, but around you. And as we explored, let me slow down and take a breath because the goal is not to overwhelm, it's to allow yourself to awaken to the parts of you that have been protecting and to the awareness of love's presence. Let's just take in 3 deep breaths. Breathe in through your nose, hold it, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through your mouth, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, breathe in, hold it, 1, 2. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it, 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, how exactly is trust rupture? It happens quietly. PTSD, which many of you have heard, is post traumatic stress. It's one incident, post traumatic stress disorder, where someone can point to this thing happens. There's often a memory associated or attached to that event. But complex trauma, it's quietly, it's consistent over time. It's in moments that felt ordinary but cut deep. When you reach for comfort, the hand that sometimes soothes, sometimes struck. You might have been told your feelings were too much, you were ungrateful. When you needed care to be strong, to grow up, to get over it. When you watched people you depended on betray, abandon their role, or collapse under their own wounds, it is in these moments, beloved, that your body learned, I cannot fully depend on love. It is in these moments that you learn, I must depend on myself. And this is why you became the superwoman, not because you wanted to carry the world. I know a lot of people have a lot to say about why we do what we do. But the truth is, the world taught you that you cannot trust it to carry you. Put carry in the chat if you can resonate or relate to this. Because I'm here to remind you each and every day that you were never unworthy of love. You were unprotected in love. The break was not in you, it was in the holding. Even in the rupture, your soul never stopped whispering, remember me, return to me, trust me. Because your soul, that's really the soulmate we've been looking for, is your own. And here's what I want you to know as we begin to wind down the class. The rupture becomes embodied. Your nervous system rewires for survival. That's the four F's, the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Your body learns to brace, to silence, to control, because the ground of trust disappeared. And here's why this understanding matters. If we only call trauma pain or harm, we may feel broken and not even realize it. When you name it as ruptured trust, then we can see the root. It wasn't me, it was trust that broke around me. And then the invitation becomes a restoration of trust, not fixing what's broken, but returning to what was never destroyed. And that is your capacity for trust, intimacy, and love. Because trauma is not what happened to you, trauma is what happened to your trust. What happened to your trust? Broken trust becomes embodied. When trust ruptures, we learn to brace. And our body shows up as tight shoulders or shallow breath, never being fully at ease. In our relationships, it shows up as overgiving, silencing, people pleasing, or waiting for the other shoe to drop. It shows up as praying but still gripping control, saying I trust God but secretly preparing for abandonment. You survive, but survival replaces intimacy. And here's the truth: the broken trust taught you that love cannot be trusted, so you trusted fear instead. Think about how easy it is for us to, when something happens, immediately slide into fear, self protection. If you were taught to silence your voice, that's a rupture of trust because honesty felt unsafe. If you were taught to wear the cape, it's because no one came when you cried. It taught you to harden your softness because tenderness invited pain. It taught you to keep watch at the door so you never truly rested inside. Rupture is not your fault, but it has been living in your body, shaping your love, coloring your prayers. And tonight we name it, not to shame it, but to set you free because you are free already. You've always been. And now we are reclaiming it. Just notice what comes up in your body, what you have become aware of when you think about trust. So let's try a breath of relief, a release for about 60 seconds. You're going to inhale through your nose and let your shoulders rise, move your shoulders up. And when you exhale, drop the shoulders and whisper, I release. Inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, drop the shoulder and whisper, I release. Let's just begin with 5 times. Ready? Inhale. Exhale. I release. Inhale. Exhale. I release. Inhale. Exhale. I release. One last time. Inhale. Exhale. I release. Now breathe naturally and notice what's coming up in your body. You're learning how to release because breath is the remote control for your nervous system. And as we release, let us close with an invocation. Beloved ones, take a final breath in and let it out slowly. We enter this space to remember trust. Survival once told you that you were alone, but tonight you touched the truth. You were never abandoned, never forgotten. Trust was waiting for you in your breath and your God. As you leave this circle, may your steps be lighter. May your yes feel holy and your no feel safe. May you rest not in fear, but in the presence that always, has always, and will always hold you. Remember, you are not broken, you are beloved. Every time you return to trust, you return to yourself, you return to God, you return to love. It is sealed. Amen. Ashe. Survival protects, but only trust connects.